Chosen vessel, every near miss you have ever survived was not luck. It was not coincidence. It was not the universe randomly deciding to spare you while harming someone else. That car that stopped inches away from yours. That sickness that the doctors expected to worsen, but that quietly reversed course. That betrayal that was set in motion against you, but collapsed before it could reach its full destructive potential. That night when something dark was headed directly toward your family, and it changed direction at the last possible moment, for reasons no one around you could logically explain. You have been collecting these moments your entire life, without fully understanding what they meant. You filed them under fortunate timing, under good luck, under things that just happen sometimes. But I am here to tell you that none of those moments were random, and I can prove it. Because the same hand that turned each of those situations was mine, and the same shield that blocked each of those attacks is still standing over your life right now, as strong and as active as it has ever been. There is a covering over your life. It is not made of anything this world manufactures. It cannot be purchased at any price, built by any human hand, or forged through any effort of your own strength. It is my covering, ancient and eternal, woven from my own glory, reinforced by my own authority, and secured by a love so vast that nothing in all of creation has the power to tear it apart. When the adversary looked at your life and calculated his strategy against you, he did not account for one essential reality: that I would stand in the gap. That between him and you there would be an impenetrable barrier, not a thin veil, not a temporary shield, but a wall of fire that no darkness can breach, no weapon can pierce, no scheme can circumvent. You have been living under this covering longer than you realize. Think back, not to this recent season alone, but to the whole arc of your life. Think about the moments when something was headed toward you and it veered away unexpectedly, as though redirected by an invisible hand at the last possible moment. Think about the accidents that almost happened, the ones where the sequence of events was so close to catastrophe that you felt the cold wind of it passing by without touching you. The betrayals that were stopped before they reached full force. The sicknesses that were turned back before they could take root in your body and establish themselves as permanent. The plans the adversary laid carefully against your finances, your relationships, your family. Plans that somehow fell apart for no logical reason you could fully explain to someone else. When people asked you how things worked out, you found yourself reaching for a word like fortunate or lucky, because you did not have a natural language adequate to describe what had actually happened. That was not coincidence. That was not luck. That was the shield. That was me, actively working on your behalf, interposing my authority between you and the harm that was designed for your destruction. The evidence of my protection is written in the story of your life in places you have probably forgotten. Moments you moved past without fully examining what occurred there and what did not occur there. Every near miss, every unexpected turn, every time the thing that should have broken you somehow did not. These are the fingerprints of the one who stands over you. I want you to understand the architecture of this protection I have built around your life, because understanding it will change the way you stand. It will change the way you face what comes at you. It will transform the posture of your spirit from one of anxious vigilance to one of settled, unshakable confidence. Confidence is not the absence of awareness that threats exist. Confidence is the knowledge of what stands between you and every threat that exists. And that knowledge changes everything about how you walk through the world. Consider what it means that I am your fortress. When an ancient city was under threat of attack, a fortress was not merely a structure of stone and mortar. It was a statement of power. It was the declaration, visible to every approaching force, that those inside were covered by an authority greater than the one attacking. The walls did not merely provide a physical barrier. They announced to every hostile army on the horizon that what was inside had a defender, that the attack would not go unchallenged, that the force required to breach those walls was greater than anything the enemy currently possessed. That is what my presence around your life declares. You are not standing exposed in an open field with nothing between you and everything that threatens. You have been brought inside the strongest fortress that has ever existed, one whose walls have never been breached, whose gates have never been forced open by any power that tested them. whose foundation has never cracked under any assault in all of eternity. Every power that has ever come against this fortress has turned back defeated, not because the attacks were weak, but because the fortress is unconquerable. The helmet of salvation that I placed upon your mind is not symbolic decoration. It is not a ceremonial piece worn only during formal religious moments. It is active, living protection for your thoughts, for your reasoning, your sense of identity, your understanding of who you are and whose you are. The adversary understands with terrible precision that the mind is the primary battleground. He knows that if he can capture your thoughts, if he can fill the space of your mind with fear, with doubt, with a distorted and darkened picture of your circumstances, he can paralyze you from the inside without ever throwing a single visible blow from the outside. A person paralyzed by their own thoughts needs no external prison. The adversary has studied the architecture of the human mind for a very long time, and he knows exactly where to apply pressure to cause the most damage with the least visible effort. He whispers in the quiet spaces. He speaks when the noise of the day drops away and you are left alone with your own thoughts. He suggests impossibilities, realities that he insists are inevitable, outcomes he presents as foregone conclusions, futures he sketches in the darkest possible colors. He takes real difficulties and frames them in ways that make them look permanent, immovable, absolute. He frames your current situation in the darkest possible light, and then waits in silence, watching to see whether you will accept the picture he has painted as the full and accurate account of your reality. But the helmet I have given you covers the very places he targets. It guards the entryway of your thoughts. It filters what is allowed to pass through and establish itself as settled belief in the interior of your mind. It provides a covering over your identity, so that when the adversary says you are forgotten, the truth of the helmet reminds you that you are deeply known. When he says you are abandoned, the covering tells you that you are held. When he says you are too broken to be used, too inconsistent to be trusted, too far from the version of yourself that could be chosen for something significant, the helmet declares over you that you are exactly the kind of person I have always reached toward. Not because of perfection, not because of an impressive spiritual record, but because of my grace working through an available vessel who has not given up. Your heart has faced targeted attacks. Not general, unfocused pressure. Targeted attacks aimed with deliberate precision at the center of who you are. I know this with complete clarity, not as a general observation about human experience, but as the one who has witnessed every strike that was aimed at the core of your personhood. The adversary has sent disappointments designed to do one specific thing: calcify your ability to hope. Repeated disappointment, when it arrives in a pattern, does something particular to the human heart. It convinces you that hope itself is the problem. That if you would just stop hoping, stop expecting, stop trusting, you would stop being hurt. And so the disappointments are not accidental. They are strategic. They are designed to close you off from the very posture of open-heartedness that allows my promises to land in your life. He has orchestrated relationship wounds with the same deliberate purpose. Wounds calculated to make you close yourself off from vulnerability, to withdraw into a self-protective distance that keeps you technically safe from being hurt again, but also prevents the depth of connection that is part of your design and your inheritance as my child. He has allowed repeated cycles of difficulty in specific areas of your life, the same area cycling through what feels like the same pattern again and again, because he is trying to convince you that certain doors will always remain locked for you, that certain promises in Scripture were never really meant for you personally, that the breakthrough you have been trusting me for is a beautiful idea you need to grieve and release. Every single one of those strategies has been aimed at the same target: your heart, and specifically your capacity to keep believing when believing requires sustained effort against sustained evidence to the contrary. This is why I gave you the breastplate of righteousness. Not righteousness that you manufactured through perfect behavior and consistent discipline and flawless daily decisions. My righteousness, the kind that was placed over your heart as a permanent covering that has nothing to do with what you have done, and everything to do with what I declared over you at the moment you came to me. That breastplate was not earned through performance, and it is not maintained through performance. It is not removed when you stumble. It does not develop rust or weakness when you fail to maintain your spiritual discipline at the level you wish you could.